Hi everyone. We're going to be doing our
Hi.
first tech bite with our Reading Language Arts Elementary coordinator, Carla Rodriguez. And this is
Hi,
going to be super
everyone.
simple. Hi. We're just going to be discussing about some of the bullet points that we sent you on. The first one that we put in there is just to get a feel of what your thoughts are with tech integration and how do you think it helps our teachers and students. So basically, what have you seen when you've been, because you had several roles already, Carla. Like right now, this is one of your your cliff, like you're at the top of the mountain right now. You've been an
I love it.
AP, you've been a teacher, you've had different hats. So what is your thought with tech integration? And how does that help your teachers or yourself when you were a teacher as well?
So I think absolutely. I've been very blessed and honored to serve at different capacities, and I think what has helped me is that we always have to be innovative, right? We have to change with what time or what is thrown at us, and I think technology has been very helpful. I was very blessed that when I was an AP before COVID hit, Paradeck, right? When Paradeck was the hot topic, right? I was fortunate enough to get a glimpse of that. Actually, Miss Debbie, I was trained by Miss Debbie, and since then I think the technology is when really, like, not that we didn't know it then, but it had to be done, right? So I think technology is very important because there's skills that our students need as they continue to grow and develop into 21st century learners, and as our mission and vision state, right, to compete as in a global, in a global world. So technology gives us that ability to connect and to just see things from a different perspective. And when students are able to use this technology and really understand it, I think it serves as a great resource that allows them to not only build new skills, but also again be able to compete with others with these skills. And I think as far as an instruction, it helps teachers with differentiation, right? Because you're able to place different things for different students using technology to your advantage.
I think so. I agree with you on that. And it's just I feel like sometimes technology is just thought, and I know you don't because already have background on integration of technology. You've talked to us about how you've used Flip in the past as well, and you see the different levels of knowledge that students are able to do because of that technology integration. So I did share some of the technology integration models. And I don't know if you've heard of them before, and if you haven't, maybe we can discuss them a little bit and how we can progress in our technology integration. One of them was the SAMR model, SAMR, and the other one is a TPAP. Have you heard about those before?
No, I would love to hear about it. I would love to hear your insight and how we can further integrate, right?
Perfect. But I'm going to share my screen with both models in there, and then maybe the three of us, Marco, Debbie, and myself, we can go together and share a little bit about it. So the SAML model is it's stated, and it's like an acronym by substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. So there's two levels. You have enhancement and you have transformation. So depending how you use technology, think about it of like, because there's also the Bloom's taxonomy of technology integration, but I see it a little bit like that. And one of the graphs that when I was a CIT that actually Debbie and Sunaida shared with me that I have vivid in my mind is it was a Starbucks cup. Do you remember that one, Debbie? Of the Sandler
Yes,
model?
yes.
So it was like a coffee, just black or something, like just a cup of Starbucks. The second one was like the coffee with milk and sugar. The third one was the coffee with milk and sugar with some whipped cream at the top. And the fourth one, it's just all that plus some sprinkles. So it just is the enhancement of how you going from just using technology as substitution, which is just instead of using a notebook, then you're using a Word document to just type your notes. Instead of, I don't know, using an abacus, you use a calculator. Like, augmentation, it goes more additionally from substitution and is more about the functional improvement of technology. Debbie, do you have anything to add on those two steps of the SEMR model? Or do you, Marco?
With the substitution, yeah, I agree. It's like going from writing on a notebook to using a Word document, and then augmentation would be kind of like going from a working document from one person to like two students working on it, and then it goes up from there. So modification would maybe being adding on to that working document, maybe making it into a story. And if you go at the end, it's like, okay, we created the story as a group on a Word document. Now let's go make a recording about it, or let's go make a flip about it. And so that, that was a really good kind of breakdown going from one level to the next, Val.
Thank you, Marco, for even adding the other two steps as well. And it's just redefinition is something that you really you cannot fathom or think about it without the usage of technology. So something that you cannot do without technology. So that exactly doing a flip recording and having the student's expression, that will be in the latter part of the transformation stage as well.
Yeah,
what do you think about?
We want to see students building up to that point where they can choose their own technology tool on what product that they're making. I mean, that would be like the redefinition, getting to that stage where they've learned these technology tools, which we want them to learn through integration. We don't want them to be like separate. We want everything to be integrated into the curriculum, into their content. And it does take time, for students to learn that. So we have to kind of pick and choose where we're going to add those tools and, how they're going to use them. And it's not going to all happen at once. We want them to just start with substitution, start using, those tools to build up to that point where then eventually the students are ready to go and they're ready to choose their own tool of what they want to use.
So
I would like to add really quick, because
Sure.
I love what you guys are saying. And I think all this encompasses that once a student masters or learns a skill, they're able to show it, right? And if we look back in our TICs, we have the first part, it says listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So once we've mastered that, how can we use that technology to allow our students to voice their opinions, to, create a final project using technology? So I think it's working smarter, right? Because you've already taught the skill. So now give the students the opportunity to show you through technology. So that makes my heart happy. Yes.
And the cool thing about it is like these skills that they're going to be learning, they can start learning them in early grades and keep on applying them throughout their learning career. So once they already started and they're ready for modification or redefinition in kinder first grade, they can use that throughout elementary, through middle school and high school. And it's like you're saying, they need to know the content, but their technology integration and their ability to be able to express themselves and transform, it's already there.
And we live in a digital world, right?
Correct.
That's preparing them, because I mean, you think about TikTok, you think about YouTube, you think about all these different platforms that are now people are kind of shifting towards, creating how-to videos, creating, all those things are skills, are skills that you develop as you go. So I think, yes, this is really, really important.
And then the other model that we wanted to show you. So this SAMR model was the first one that I was introduced to by amazing Debbie and Snyder. And TPAC model was one that I learned maybe like I heard about it about 3-4 years ago. And it actually, to me, it refines what you were talking to us earlier about knowing the content. So you have those 3 areas, which is the technology knowledge, the technological knowledge, the content knowledge, and the pedagogical knowledge. So what is it that you're teaching? The pedagogical knowledge is how you're teaching, and then the technology is in implementing the technology in there. So you have some areas that you have the content and the technology together, And then you have some areas that you have the technology and the pedagogical together, and then one pedagogical and content. And we see that a lot in our district, having the pedagogical and the content together, but it's still lacking the technology integration in there to make it that center where those three circles get together and make it more impactful for our students. And that's basically what I just wanted to share this. Not that I'm like, to me, it's easier to see it in a graphic the first time that I was like, oh my God, this is so simple to understand. You know it because you've done it and you have implemented and you support it. But for example, for our colleagues to show them these and understand how important it is, I think we need to share it with a lot of different people.
Absolutely. And I think one important thing, especially if you're not as fluent or comfortable or scared per se to use technology, I think it's really important to start with one. Get really comfortable with it. Allow the students to use it. Like Flipgrid, to me, Flip is a great platform that allows you to practice some of these skills, right? Or to help students develop them. So I think one way would just to start with one, and then as an educator, make yourself comfortable with it, get your students comfortable with it. Once they know how to use it well, then start like expanding to different horizons, right? To different areas or different ways to implement technology or continue to implement technology.
Obviously, and it's beyond that too. I feel like it's mainly getting the educators one not skill, but one tool at a time.
Yeah.
Making them comfortable, because once they're comfortable, they're able to, and then understanding. I feel like something that we can collaborate, because we collaborate. I'm like, we love you, and I know that you love us.
Yes, I do.
It will be nice if we can create like a document of, like, for example, what can be, this tool can be used for this and this and that. So Debbie and Marco, like Debbie did a training first that was really good on SIF strategies using digital tools. And then they did a second one, Debbie and Marco. And I feel like doing, I don't know, maybe like a document where we can express and show the teachers what are some of the tools that they can use for different instances as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And it narrows and it focuses right on I guess, the strength of the platform or what it has to offer. In this case, again, Flip, I go back to it, the speaking, right? So if you want your students to, master or to improve on the speaking aspect, and that would be a great tool. So I think that's a great idea, Valentin, to where we can kind of funnel, okay, these are the different components we want to work on. Again, listening, speaking, reading, and writing might be the focus. And then we start funneling to each component what tech tool is the most appropriate for each component.
Yeah, and I know like you started, this summer we were involved with the curriculum writing a little bit, and we're happy to start getting that in, so we can add more technology integration so that it's available for the teachers right from the get-go, and it's in their curriculum, because a lot of times if it's not in their curriculum or their guide, they don't want to stray away from that and, try something different. So I know during your summer planning, you did can you tell us a little bit about some of the technology that you did, push the teachers or encourage the curriculum writers to add to the content?
Absolutely. So again, I go back to Flip, right? That was something that I had started back since I was at the middle school as an assistant principal. We called it Flip Friday, right? And that's something we integrated into this year's curriculum, where the students respond based on the week's, lesson, incorporating our sustainability development goals. They're able to reflect and really internalize what they have learned and then speak about it, right? Talk about it. And two reasons for that. One, obviously, to make sure the students have learned or mastered what the week's concept was, and also prepping them for the TELPAS test, right, where they're able to speak with the academic language. I think that's the most important part. So Flip has been one of the biggest pushes in our curriculum, as well as, I know Google Slides is a form of technology, right? Not necessarily where they record themselves, but there's so many different tools that they can use, which will also be used as they progress in their, in their education when they get to college. and them being able to maneuver or use those Google Slides. One thing we have not, but I would love to integrate is Canva, right? Where the students are able to create. I think that would be my next step, where they're able to create a final product through the use of platforms such as that. I think it's important, and I think it's where we're heading. And again, digital world, right? Marketing, all these different components, and Canva is such a great tool that you can do so much with. So I think that would be my next step for that.
I love hearing that, because that's our theme this year is we create. And that is where you get that higher level thinking and that creative thinking, and that's so critical. And so I love hearing that you're interested in, pushing Canva a little bit more for students. That's great.
Yeah, I think one way, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's move a little bit to the topic about this summer. You came to me and Debbie, and we discussed about the curriculum writing, and we were excited when you started talking about Flip and adding it into the curriculum, and then Nearpod and collaborating with you, being there with the teachers that were your curriculum writers. Tell us about that. How did that came up?
So that was a great experience. That was definitely a huge project, right? A lot that it encompasses, but definitely with a lot of a vision behind it, right? And that was one that I'm glad you brought it up, Nearpod. We also integrated a Nearpod into our lessons to give that interactivity to the students and to provide a hub of resources for our teachers. So I think it's slowly but surely the district has, and you all are a great part of this, the teachers have been more comfortable with using Nearpod and those kinds of things. So when you go into the classroom and you see it, it's amazing, right? Because like all that work was for something. But I think it was great. And also you realize that there's some things that I might know, there's some things some other teachers might know, but we don't know everything, right? So that part of the summer curriculum is I think is the most impactful, because it's where the collaboration happens, and I might learn something from you, I learned something from one teacher, the other teacher might know something. So then you begin to develop experts, right? Or the most that we can get out of the time and the resources that we have. So I think the collaboration is the most important part, but I think what's most important is that it's continuous, because just because it was in the summer doesn't mean like, oh, it's done and it's ready. No, there's things keep changing and things keep going. So that's where you all, I think, are super important, because you keep us up to date, and like small changes here, small changes there, but definitely keeping that vision to continue to improve the curriculum. But it's a great thing. And I think it definitely will and should continue to happen. And again, the most important thing of it all, I feel, is going into the campuses and getting the teacher feedback, right? Is it working? Is it not working? How can we improve it? But definitely the collaboration in the summer was very impactful. I have so many different things, like we want to keep getting better, right? What we can change for next year. But definitely keeping technology as in the forefront, because that is how we will develop our kids to become, or be able to compete globally and 21st century and all those skills that encompass technology, I feel, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're glad to have the opportunity to work with you all, because that's, we don't want to be a separate silo over here in technology. We want to work with the content and the curriculum. That's exactly where we need to see that technology integration.
And like I tell you, I don't know if you knew this, but Debbie and myself, we have been pushing your Flip Fridays and doing trainings and that throughout, because we tell them like it's already built in the curriculum. So, and one of the things that we've been working on, because you remember that we did the training on reading progress as well, and that's a huge tool that I feel it's great for the teachers.
That's huge.
But for the early grades, like for example, pre-K, they can't use it. That's not for them. So we've been pushing Flip Fridays also for pre-K and kinder with a story. I'm like, it doesn't have to be a lot of it, because if you really like the way I see how you all created the Flip Fridays with the questioning, and it's very high order thinking, and the with the Newsella articles. So in those levels of the models, it's in the higher, it's in the 3 or 4 level. And because the student is able to create, they're creating a video expressing themselves after they read the article, which is something different that they were not able to do before. They will be able to, I guess they will be able to share in front of everybody, but this way they're able to keep it and play it later as well. But I lost my train of thought.
I would love to add.
It's Flip Fridays.
Yeah, catch the thought. I would love to add to that because yes, I love what you're saying because ultimately if they record themselves, it can be shared, right? But think about the students that are also shy. In a way, it's between me and the computer and it's not as threatening. So I think that's the beauty of Flip, and that's been always my my thinking behind it. And I love that you said that it gives the students the opportunity, if they are shy, to feel more comfortable in a safer space. Right. And I think that's huge for our students.
Well, it also allows them to not record their face.
Yes, they can put hearts, emojis. Yeah.
And I'm not sure, but can it distort their voice? I think does it? I don't remember that, Debbie. I kind of think that might have been an option, but maybe I'm just
remember that filter.
Maybe I'm just making it up in my head, and that's something that we need to talk to Flip that they can create. Imagine if they can talk like a robot or something. That would be kind of cool.
Hey, kids would love it, right?
Yeah, they would love it.
I know my students would put when I would log into the advisory periods, because that at the middle school, that's where I create a curriculum integrating the Flip. Anyways, I would go in there and I would see them, and it was hilarious because they would add like hearts on the face, they would put the emoji, but they recorded themselves and they spoke about it, which is what I cared about, right? To hear them speaking. And another thing I wanted to add is how technology is so important or so crucial, because in that case, they record and you're able to give feedback, right, to them based on that recording. So it's like the paper, but you're having them speak, which again hits different components in our TEKS and the TELPUS and all that stuff. So I think that part's huge.
Yeah, and Sanaida's bringing up, I know in the past we have like recorded in like Snapchat or in another app, and then you can which does have the voice changing capabilities, and then you can actually upload that to Flip. So that would be something else, to consider if, you have a person who doesn't want their voice shared.
Oh my God, this morning we had I just want to bring that up. We had our innovator of the month of October, and she blew my mind. I've been telling her she was just amazing. She records herself doing the Savas reading. She's a first grade teacher, and I want you to look at that the video as soon as we upload it. She's like Garcia. So she records herself reading the book, and then the students independently, they use the codable books and listen to her so they can do it on their own. And she grabs it and then she puts that video from Noom into Nearpod, so they can follow up the story. And I was really impressed with her. So that's people like that. That's something that we need to. I'm like, it creates that help that the student needs to be able to learn how to read, to start decoding the words and the pronunciations and the blends and everything. It was really nice.
I love that. I love to hear that. I've seen it used similarly at Ford Elementary, in kinder, because they have small groups, like you're saying, so that way the student has the teacher there for whatever assignment. So they put it on their Google Classroom, the recording's done, and they go over, I believe it was the fluency words. And like you're saying, for them to, the teacher says it, and then they have to repeat it. So you're right. It gives the students that example, right? Sometimes we look for videos or other things which are great too, but what better or how much more personal is that, right? Where the teacher has herself there and the students feel that connection to the person speaking. So yeah, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and whenever you see things like that in the classroom, so let us know so we can go see it. But I've been working with the kinder there at Ford very one-on-one, because they've been wanting to get more training on technology. They're like one of the grade levels in my campuses that they're like, can you come after school? Can you come do this? And it's so nice to get that will of wanting to learn. But for the last 4 minutes that we have, I wanted to gear out to a little topic that deals with what's happening and the buzzword right now everywhere, which is AI. And what are your thoughts of AI?
AI is very interesting. I think AI helps us work smarter, right? I still feel you can't go away from the context, what it is that you want to do, but I think AI can definitely help teachers cut back on time spent on several things. Not that you're not going to do it, but it's definitely a resource, right? That helps. And I brought this up at the beginning because the research that I've done on AI, the biggest thing is how it helps teachers differentiate instruction. And I really thought that was interesting. I haven't read up on it as much as I would like. I know we had that conversation and I started Googling and looking and reading, but I love that because that's how we learn and we get better, right? That's part of being innovative. So I think it's a great tool. I did read, and I thought this was important because every article that I read had the disclaimer, make sure to verify, make sure the information is true. So I think yes, we can use it, but we definitely have to, know what we're looking for and make sure that the context that, it's being used in is correct. But I definitely think it's a very helpful tool that can cut back in time and help teachers focus on what's the most important, right? Definitely, again, the differentiation of instruction is what I felt or what stood out to me the most, because they're able to create or develop different pathways for the student. The other way that I saw it, or I've seen it, I'm sorry, is iStation has now a live teacher, right? Where the student is able to ask questions so that they have somebody there 24/7 pretty much. So I think in that sense, again, going back to the small group, if the teacher is able to place, some kind of recording or some kind of specific thing to the lesson or to the students, it helps the teacher be in more than one place, right? Like they normally are expected to be, but definitely with some help. So I think it's a very, very interesting topic. What's your take? What do you all think?
Debbie?
It's here to stay. So we have to learn and go with the times. And, eventually we're going to have probably students using it more. I know right now they don't really have access to it in the district, but at home they do. And I'm sure they're already using it. There's just a lot of programs are adding that AI aspect. So we have to train our students on AI now and show them like what's the best way to use AI and to be good digital citizens of using AI, and talk about all that plagiarism and stealing people's work, and those are just new conversations. Like education's always shifting and we have to go with that time. So it's going to be, our role's going to have to shift a little bit as teachers, and it's hard for us to and we're in the technology world here, but it is hard to envision letting go and letting students use it. But we're going to have to figure out the way to do that. We have to educate them, the teachers, to educate the students. I mean, it's here to stay, and it's only going to become more prevalent out there.
I agree with you, Debbie. It's one of the things that I compare, not even just AI, but the usage of technology is like, why do we have to reinvent the wheel? Like, why does a child have to reinvent the wheel? If the dad or the grandpa already did the wheel, they can create another part of the car. And maybe in a few generations, we can keep on progressing. We're humans. We're supposed to progress. And AI right now, like Debbie was saying, is great for teachers to get an help. Like if you cannot think of something and you have it at the tip of your tongue, you put it there and it will give you what you want. It might not be perfect, like you said, Carla, and you might want to tweak it a little bit, but there's different websites specifically for education that will allow a teacher to create a whole lesson plan, activities, differentiation instruction, everything in like less than a second or two.
Right.
But one of the things that I wanted to share with you is we went to a UTEC conference and the keynote speaker talked about how they used it in a classroom. Like one of the teachers I want to use it with my students. So right now it has to be 12 or 13 years of age for a person to be able to use because of their information. So if they're beyond that, so students not using it, but the teacher using it with them. So for example, they read a book or a story and they talked and discussed about setting, and they talked about the climax, and they talked about the the main character, and they talked about I don't know, like different things that were having on the story. So then they discussed that, and then as a whole group, they decided to create a story and use AI with it. So they just put what was the main character of the new story, what was happening, what was the climax, what was the setting, and they put it in there and they asked the AI, with this as the main character, this is the setting, da da da, create a story, blah blah blah. So it just created a story for the students instantly. The students are able to read it. The teacher is the one typing the information. The students are able to read it, and then she said that magic happened. The students were like, the setting was like, I don't know, a farm, and let's say that the main character was a dragon, and they were like, well, you know what? I don't think that a dragon is the right character to have in this story. So let's change it to that. And then they did it into small different groups where her and another teacher were creating the stories with the students, let's say small groups of like 3 students, and they just selected their topic, their setting, and blah, 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 and AI will create their story, and then they came and retold the story that they created with it. So that's what I wanted to share. Like when I heard that story, I was like, ooh, wow, that is amazing.
I love what you're saying, and I thought about it with you and when Ms. Debbie was speaking. So AI, I think about it as my thinking partner, right?
Yes.
To work smarter.
Yes. It's a
Definitely a thinking partner that if I was going to take maybe an hour to do something, maybe I'm going to cut back my time in 30 minutes. And in education, what do we need is time.
Exactly. It's exactly.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great that's a great way of integrating it. I haven't seen it. I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen it used like that in a classroom, but I think that's a great idea.
Well, time is up. And so sad that it's over because this conversation was great. And I'm like, you can find now, and talking about AI, you can find it everywhere. You can find it in Canva. You can find it on Flip, like to do a topic. Like if you know what the thing is, but not know what questions to ask, the topic Copilot is AI. It generates questions for you automatically. And it's really cool. But thank you for being our first Tech Bite not attendee, but guest of honor. And
thank you.
We really appreciate you, and we love coordinating, collaborating with you, Carla. Keep that up, because with you, you open the door for our departments to start working together better, and we want that. We're here for our students. Debbie and Marco, we've discussed this all the time. You are one of our stars, and thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you for being
I
here.
shine amongst all the other stars, which are you guys. And I think, again, I think we're all great, but together we're even better, right? So I really appreciate you all. I think you guys are the definition of hustle, right? You're everywhere. I love it. You have so much to offer to us, to our teachers, to our students. So we appreciate you all. And I hope to continue working with you all and just keep growing and just getting better.
Thank you. Have a good lunch.
Thanks,
Thank
Carla.
you. You too. Have a great day, everyone.